Hello, my retro friends. Thanks for finding my channel, Mike the Retro Realtor. Today we're going to talk about title. Title is not sexy. Title is one of those things that makes the buyers and sellers even just glaze over. When I'm on a listing presentation and I say, hey, I got a couple title people I like, 9 times out of 10 it's just like, yeah, go with whatever. But some of my sellers, a long time, they always use the same title company because they are offered a discount if they can provide the previous title from when they purchased. Why they're offered a discount is because the title company does not have to search that far back when they're making sure we have a clean title. So that makes things a little less expensive. And just for pricing purposes, title traditionally on a normal residential sale is about $1,500, $1,700. What do you get for that money? Very tangibly, you get to see a title policy. And when I say title policy, that's actually kind of an insurance policy. And that title insurance policy is basically a line in the sand saying from closing date forward, the buyer is responsible for all liens, all taxes, all bills on the house. Conversely, the seller is supposed to be responsible for all things before the close. The title company makes sure that all the mortgages are paid, all the taxes are up to date, all the water bills are paid, all that stuff. Any type of construction liens are taken care of. What would happen is you close on the deal. Let's say a roofer shows up and say, hey, I'm still with $3,000 on this roofing work I did. And you can say, nope, I got a title policy. Talk to the title company. What the title insurance policy says is all loans, all liens, all bills are paid off at close. So the new buyer is not responsible for something that happened 6 months ago. And that's basically what they do. That's their insurance policy that they issue you. So the seller generally pays that title policy to do the search to make sure that all these things are done. Once that's done, the buyer's title company and the seller's title company make sure all the numbers match. So if you have a lender, you're forced to have a title policy. But I would have one no matter what, even if I'm paying cash, because it's just foolish not to. So both companies make sure that all the dollars and pennies match down the columns, all to the penny. They take care of all the accounting. They take care of the commissions. They take care of paying any tax bills. They take care of paying any water bills. Most of the time that goes on to the buyers, but they get a credit for it to offset their down payment. These show up on the closing statements normally about 2 days before close. There are actually 2 closing statements, the buyer side and seller side. The buyer side is a lot simpler. There's not much on it. It has the amount of money you got to bring in. It has the purchase price. It shows the credits for taxes and water bills that you would receive from the seller. Because in most cases, what they do is rather than paying the bill off to the penny, they just do a proration and put it on the closing statement. And then they always say, if you were to bring in cash, this is the amount of money after all the credits are, and they would show you that number. In most cases, that number is normally a loan plus the down payment cash. On the seller side, it breaks down commissions. It breaks down the taxes again. It breaks down the sales price. It breaks down the title fee, which is generally paid at close. Even though the title company did the research and got everything together, they do not get paid until it closes, just like the realtors. So we're all waiting for it to close, and that's how we all get paid. The title company is also responsible for collecting the monies, be it from the bank in a form of a wire. Sometimes the buyer's down payment can also be brought in the form of a cashier's check, but there's something to frown upon that because there's too many scams. Or, and generally this is how it's done from a wire from the buyer's bank to the title company. And then in rare cases, and this doesn't happen too much because prices are going up, in a situation where the sellers would have to bring in cash, the title company would be responsible for taking care of that. So the title company takes care of the accounting, offers the insurance policy, and then handles all the money. At the end of the close, we have what's called disbursement. All the monies are sitting at the title company. Generally, the money comes in a day or so prior to close. When everything's signed and everything's approved with the lender on a finance deal, the seller would get a check for the proceeds of the sale. The realtors would get their checks for commission, both buy side and sell side. The title company would take their fee out. Any miscellaneous taxes, utilities would also be taken care of that. Any city fees would be taken care of that. And that's disbursement. Once the deal is dispersed, both parties walk away with their title policy, the seller getting a policy saying that everything is paid for and we guarantee it. So this deal is done on their eyes. The buyer walks away with a policy stating that everything is clear on the seller side. Very similar to like when you sell a car. The buyer would have their guarantee. If anyone would knock on the door saying, hey, you owe for this, they would say, just talk to my title company. The title company also provides a space for the close. When it comes to closing, you can either close at a bank, an attorney's office, or a title company in most cases. If you're closing at the title company, the title agent's right there, and they're the ones who basically explain the note to the buyers, and they explain the closing disclosures and the closing statements to the sellers. Traditionally, when it's in my listing, I actually get the statement a day or two before close, and I send that over to the seller. I go, does this make sense? Does everything check out? A lot of times on like multifamilies, there'll be a rent proration that's missed or something like that. These are actually very easy things to take care of prior to close. As long as both parties agree that yes, there's $1,000 security deposit that needs to be added onto the buyer side as a credit. As a buyer and seller, that's basically what you see the title company for. It's just to work out all the numbers. In general, you never want to use the title insurance policy because that means that someone's asking for money and that's just a hassle. But that doesn't happen too often, but it's good to know account. And of course, if you're getting a loan, you are required to have a title policy. Even if you're paying cash, you really want a title policy anyways. It's not terribly expensive. It's a one-time fee. As a buyer and seller, you should definitely ask your agent about this. You'll get something very similar to what I said. They might go into a bit more detail, they may not, but basically, long story short, is a title insurance policy guarantees that once a deal is done, it's done. So that really kind of helps with a lot of paperwork down the line. And you want to hold on to that as a buyer, the title policy, because you will get a discount by nearly every title company when you show up with the original title from when you purchase a property. It's just good business. That's kind of why I was saying a lot of my regular sellers, they always use the same title company for buy and sell. Just makes things easier. My opinion of certain title companies, generally I like them all. Pricing is generally the same. It's regulated by the state, so you can definitely shop around as a seller or buyer. When people ask, I'll be happy to give you a bunch of phone numbers and websites to visit. Just one of those things that needs to be done. And as a practice myself, once I get past inspection, I send everything to the title company, because by that point, or midway through the transaction, all the original offers in, the earnest money receipt is in, just send everything over there. And of course, we can always change things down the line if necessary. But that being said, I hope you learned something today. Keep it retro, my friends. Thanks for checking out my channel.